You know, at some point I realized that Japanese fictional stories go beyond anime, manga and games. Shocker, am I right? And despite me knowing about some Japanese writers, embarrassingly enough, some of them I learned from Bungo Stray Dogs, I never truly got to read any of the books from the Land of Rising Sun. For some reason, it felt embarrassing to me. I mean, I am a proud weeb, don't get me wrong, it's just that I also love Japanese culture in general, so to never read any book from their origin didn't sit well with me. And that's why the third part of my book reading sequence I dedicated strictly to Asian books. At first I thought about only Japanese ones, but then I realized that I never gave Chinese and Korean literature a chance either, so I was ready to embrace their writing as well. Fate wanted me to start off with something classic, though at the moment of buying and reading this book I was very unaware of that. The Old Capital by Yasunari Kawabata. The story of a young girl, Chieko, a daughter of a dry goods shop owner who wants to unfold the secret of her birth, which has been bothering her for a long time. Needless to say, the plot got me hooked immediately. The sprinkle of a mystery wants you to keep on getting invested within where the story will go. Unfortunately for me, there was quite a huge obstacle on the way to get from one plot point to the other. Kawabata-sensei just loves to describe the environment, the buildings, nature within the garden, and it is beautiful, but at some points you feel like it tends to be a bit repetitive, and to add to that, he also doesn't shy away from explaining cultural elements like traditions and specific behaviors, which makes the book harder to read. I love learning more about culture, especially the Japanese one, I really do. But when it is put in between the story that makes me much more curious, this urge to educate myself becomes a secondary thing. But the most intriguing element of the experience with this book was how I caught myself thinking the plot will be like from your typical shoujo manga. To explain what that means, without spoiling the story. In the plot, it feels like everything could have a happy ending, all couples would be matched and lived happily ever after, and funnily enough, that's the perspective that our protagonist, Chieko, also has. Unfortunately, it is a very naive wish for things to happen this way. The book quickly brings you back to reality, and in reality, there are certain cultural aspects that make us realize that within this best outcome, there are many issues that you cannot ignore, and sometimes we should be happy that characters got at least a moment of happiness in their lives, because it's still much more than what they would get based on the status they have in society. It's funny how after I finished reading the book, I was satisfied with the conclusion, but didn't think the story was anything special. And yet, after a few months, I can't help but think fondly of The Old Capital. I don't think any book had me like that. Usually, I either like it, hate it, or forget about it entirely. Maybe that's what the Nobel Committee also appreciated in Kawabata's work when they decided to give him the Nobel Prize. Or it's because he wrote it much better than I could experience. The amazing but also quite unfortunate thing about Japanese literature is that you can experience the stories to the fullest only when you know how to read it in the original version. The way authors use specific kanji can change a lot, and it is impossible to translate this element to other languages. Unfortunately, I'm not skilled enough to read the original version, so I cannot tell you, but hey, if any of you can do that, let me know.